Welcome to my first impressions of the KB EAR Ormosia. So for the overall tonality, this is a balanced / thick sounding IM with a great technicalities. So in my opinion, this is the best tuning KBEar has done so far. So they have been on a roll since the Little Q. So the Little Q was the last KBEar IM I have reviewed / first impression, and it was a great one with its comfortable fit yet with a monstrous tuning. So the one that really grabbed me from the start with the Ormosia, it's immaculate layering. It really levels up the great mid-range response it has. So the graph can be deceiving or disappointing at first sight. It has to be listened to be believed in. So I saw a couple of comments in Facebook and other forums that with the graph performance of the Ormosia, it may be not in line with the Harman tuning, but I saw a lot of people get disappointed initially with the performance of this, but it's one of the greatest examples not to rely on graphs too much, as they can be unfair to the true performance of the IM when listened or auditioned to personally. So this is a great lesson on that. So for the bass, it has a balanced bass response. It really has no bias between the sub or mid bass frequencies. It hits with great meat and authority, but attacks and decays real fast. So if you prefer those surgical performance of bass without it being lean sounding, this Ormosia is for you. So the bass guitars are great. It is something to note of because it might be attributed to the non-biased bass response. So every bass guitar performance has great rumble and note definition that will really make bass guitar players smile with delight. So if you're familiar with Cliff Burton of Metallica, their first bass player, for those who are newly joined in the Metallica family because of Stranger Things, so his bass guitar sound in the first 3 albums of Metallica is really iconic. So it's really evident here in Ormosia. So it's also my subjective definition of a balanced bass response. It leans more on fullness and equality on all the frequencies related to the bass rather than a linear presentation. So for the mid-range, this is the real surprise for this IEM. So it's probably the best mid-range experience I have had in the $100 range. So it kinda beats the Aria and other sub $100. Even the latest review / first impressions I've did, which is the Truth Ear Zero. So the Truth Ear Zero kinda had a more linear experience in the mid-range, but the Ormosia, this one has a fuller and more defined mid-range to it. So the mid-range sounds very thick and musical while being backed up with great layering capabilities, which I have mentioned earlier, and that brings melodies and harmonies to the next level. So both male and female vocals take center stage while being backed up with balanced frequencies around them. So it's kind of perfect for vocal-centered genres such as pop and acoustic. So I've used Michael Jackson and Dua Lipa and some Mariah Carey on this one. So they're really their performances really shine in this IU. So it also can be competent for heavier genres such as metal because of its thick sound. So I also tested my regular tester for deeper male vocals, which is Nadir by Black Tongue. So Alex Tayan's performance in that one. So it's something to note of. So not much cons or negatives in the mid-range can be said for this one. So it's truly a great set in terms of mid-range response. So yeah, so if you saw the graph performance of this one and you initially was disappointed because it was not in line with the Harman performance, so don't be initially throw in negative sayings about this, because this one is really a great mid-range performer in my opinion. So for the treble, it can be the one that can make or break this Ormosia in a listener's subjective taste. So it's focused more on shimmer rather than body. So it has great technicalities, which I have mentioned also earlier. So, but can be sometimes harsh for treble sensitive ears. So sibilance is not apparent, but instruments such as cymbals are notably brighter than what they intrinsically are. So performance nuances, if you're not familiar for the term performance nuances, this already like the guitar pick attack, or snare drum ghost notes, and as such, it's one of the said nuances when a player plays their instrument. So usually shines in treble focused IEM. So it does not distract too much. So they are rendered nicely, but they're not distracting to the point that it's those performance nuances are very poppy in the mix. So yeah, so it has ample treble extension in the upper ranges. So it gives the already perfect layering performance of the Ormosia extra depth and space to work in. So for the soundstage and imaging, it's a more intimate presentation but has a wide width to work with, so instruments have tons of space to work with. So it makes for a good IEM for monitoring, especially in a live setting, and in bass guitars or drums or guitars, it's really great. So because of its immaculate layering together with its excellent imaging capabilities. So yeah, that's my first impressions of the KB EAR Ormosia. Stay tuned for the full review of this one, because I'm telling you, this one is special. Yeah, that's all, and Goji out.